Go.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. Thank you so much for joining this segment of the Talk Corner. My name is Sabdio Dido. I'm the head of gender and inclusiveness at AGRA, and we are so pleased to host you this afternoon in our time zone. This afternoon, we are going to talk to one of the women entrepreneurs from Malawi. The introduction will be done shortly. So the Talk Corner is a special segment of the Value for Her program. It's aimed at increasing visibility for women entrepreneurs and really to boost the confidence of women by giving them the platform to share their stories, to share their entrepreneurship journey, their challenges, and their successes. And today we will hear from Towera Jalakasi from Malawi. But this interview is also special in the sense that it features also one of the phenomenal women, phenomenal leaders who have been a visionary also on women's empowerment locally and globally. Please allow me to introduce Dr. Wanjiru Kamau Rutenberg, the Director for African Women in Agricultural Research and Development Award. She is an award-winning women entrepreneur, recognized for her remarkable contributions to women's empowerment, including in STEM, in science, technology. And she is a 2018 Tutu Fellow, and she was honored as a champion of change by the Obama White House. She's named one of the 100 most influential Africans by New Magazine. She's recognized as a Ford Foundation champion for democracy and named one of Kenya's top 40 women under age 40. So we really are very, very honored to have you, Dr. Wanjiru, taking this interview with Towera and gracing this platform, the Talk Corner of the Value for Her program of AGRA. So I know I don't want to take more time. I will hand over to Dr. Wanjiru shortly, but to the participants who have joined us, please welcome. We are happy to get your comments, your feedback, your questions, and are happy to respond to them also along the way. You're going to hear a fascinating story from Towera Jalakasi from Malawi, and feel free to share with us your remarks. We are starting off with a short poll. You can see it on your screen. Please feel free to fill in, and then we will start the conversation from there on. And I hand over now to Dr. Wanjiru to lead us through the process. Thank you, and over to you, Dr. Wanjiru.
Thank you so much, Sabdio. It's such an honor to be here. I really am excited. I think we are set up for a wonderful conversation, a timely conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, as you join us, we invite you to participate in the poll that you should have right in front of you. We want to learn more about your perspectives. We want to see what you're seeing in terms of agribusiness opportunities for women. So please take a minute as we wait for others to join us, take a minute to please fill in that poll. As you're doing that, let me please leave the poll up. And as we're doing that, let me now take a moment to introduce our speaker of today. Ms. Towera Jalakasi is a visionary and a result-oriented leader with demonstrated entrepreneurial competencies. The founder of Naturals Limited, suppliers of baobab juice, oil, powder, and cake on the local and international markets under the brand name KHATHIKHATHI. She is also the founder of another firm, Tools for Enterprise and Education Consultants, TEECs Limited, an enterprise development consulting firm providing business development services to SMMEs, smallholder farmers and corporations, and Women Investments Cooperative, WINCO, a premier women-led, women-managed initiative dedicated to mobilizing resources and inspiring women to achieve success and economic independence through collective investments. A creative thinker who brings on board transformational business solutions to the market, Towera has vast experience using different development approaches, including value chain development, market systems, M4P approach, incentive-based contract schemes, entrepreneurial competence-based approaches, inclusive business models, and PPP approaches. She is a trained business counselor, a coach, and mentor who is currently a board member of the Federation of National Association of Businesswomen in Eastern and Southern Africa, FEMCOM, a COMESA institution. Towera has previously served as a board secretary for the Corporation of Fair Trade in Africa, COFTA, board chair of the National Association of Businesswomen in Malawi, a founder and board member of Commercial Farmers Cooperative, and a board member of Kasintula Cane Growers Limited and Namiwawa Private Schools. As you can see, our speaker today is an incredibly experienced, a powerful, experienced professional, a powerful woman, a woman who's been around the block on entrepreneurship. And we are indeed so lucky and so honored to have you grace us with your presence. Before I invite you to first share your remarks with us, talk to us about your work, and then we go into a set of, into a question and answer period, I want to ask if we can see the results of the poll. Is it possible to display the results of the poll? Yes. Here we go. So even as we're kicking off this conversation, the most important resource that you need to grow your business, 58% of you are saying business skills, 33% of you are saying finance, market information is 8%. And then as a woman in agribusiness, what is the key issue that must change in your country? We are tied for financing laws and cross-border trade regulation. None of you are saying harassment of women. 17% of you are talking about access to decision-making structures. And so I think this is such an important, it's always important to understand the needs of our constituents. Towera, as you can see, business skills is something that a lot of the participants are keen on, and you bring those in spades. And so we're so excited to have you once again. Welcome. Please do share with us your words of wisdom. And to the participants, I will attempt to post Towera's bio in the chat for those of you who might have missed that introductory comment. Towera, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. And I would like to thank AGRA for the opportunity to be able to share what I have to the rest of the world. So basically, I am a practicing entrepreneur as well as a business development agent. As you have already highlighted, my business is producing and delivering on the market Baobab products, including juices, oil, cake, and also the powder. Baobab, it's a fruit that is very rich in nutrients. And according to research, the research shows that the vitamin C in Baobab is 6 times more than the vitamin C in oranges. But it also says that the calcium in Baobab is 2 times more than the calcium in milk. So one of the reasons why I decided to engage in this Baobab industry is also comes from my background as a teacher and majoring in food and nutrition, but also because I've operated as a consultant for quite some time. I've used that skill again to develop my business and move forward. So professionally, I'm a teacher with a degree in education, but majoring in food and nutrition. So I did teaching for a few hours, a few years where I taught at a public. So from there, I moved into the private sector in the manufacturing and advertising industry. And from there, I moved into the consulting industry. Then when I moved into the consulting industry, I also developed my skills and knowledge further in that area through the Durham Business School, where I obtained my advanced diploma in counseling and consulting. So I've been consulting since that time up until now, as an employee, as a freelance consultant, until the moment I established my own consulting firm, TICT, which is Tools for Enterprise and Education Consultants. But the focus today is on my Baobab. So I would want to give a background as to why I decided and what motivated me to get into the Baobab industry. So when you look at agribusiness is like
Oh dear.
But I discovered that I was able to sell all that on the market. So I decided to expand on this business. So I secured a big farm, maybe 50 kilometers from Blantyre. But when I was traveling to go to the farm, I noted that there were a lot of baobab trees and baobab fruits that were just being wasted. People were not using them. The livestock could not consume everything. So that prompted me, because of my knowledge in food and nutrition, to try and produce something. So I collected a few fruits and produced some juice, which I was just serving to people in church, at events. But people kept telling me that, why don't you do this and sell? So as a consultant, one day I was with my colleague and we had traveled to Zambia to present a report on a market assessment that we did on the honey sector in Zambia. When I was presenting that report that day, something really happened. When I was looking at the figures and everything else, I saw that there was very big potential in as far as honey in Zambia was concerned. But see, later on, I started reflecting upon it and asking myself a lot of questions that where is the potential of baobab in Malawi? So that really revealed something to me when I looked at that, and I looked at the potential of baobab in Malawi. I thought to myself and said, no, I really need to get into this business and start producing baobab products. And I told my colleague that day that, you know what, I'm now going straight into the production of juices from baobab. And from Chipata, we went straight into Lilongwe, where I bought a piece of machinery that could support me in terms of the production of baobab juice at that time. I went to Blantyre. That was a Saturday. I went around the town looking for bottles that I could use for packing the juices, and I was able to find them. Then I looked for the labels. I looked for the sealers for the top of the book for the bottles. I was able to secure everything during that day. The next day, I was able to pick a few ladies from my church and said, we are going into business and we are going to start producing the juices from baobab fruits, and we are going to put that on the market. From that day, I've never stopped growing my business. So my business has really grown from producing up to about 10 liters of juice in a day, but now my business has grown. I'm able to produce about 20,000 liters of juice in a month. But it has been a journey from 2006 up until now.
Could we get into some questions? Oh. Hello?
Hello?
Hello. Yes, Dr. Wanjiru, go on. The questions just comments appreciating the session for now. I will post them as soon as they come in.
Yeah, and to all the participants, I just want to encourage you.
Hi, I seem to have lost the. I can't hear you both.
Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you both.
We can hear you clearly. We might need to turn off video. You might need to turn off your video to improve the connection. Can you hear us? Towera?
They are hearing you, we are hearing you, but you may want to turn off the video. You have already done it,
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, can you hear her now?
Madam Towera?
Yeah, now it's on, and this one is off.
But I can't hear them.
Regina, come.
We can hear
They're not
you.
hearing her again. Yeah.
Sophie, can you hear us?
But we're able to hear you. Yeah.
Sophie, can you hear us?
In the meanwhile, to the participants, we would invite you to post any questions in the chat.
Anything with a microphone?
No, I've just been sitting like this. Oh.
We can hear you.
Yeah. Let me call.
Hello?
We can hear you.
We can't hear them.
Oh, maybe they can hear us, but we
I
can't.
can't.
Yeah, I think there's some, I can see that Towera is muted. So maybe Sophie, if you can hear me, could you please unmute her so that we can hear her? But in the meantime, we are encouraging of the participants to keep sharing your questions, your observations of this program. Of course, we are really looking forward to improving this segment so that it really becomes their platform for women entrepreneurs in agriculture. Happy to continue to get your inspiration on that. Over to you, Dr. Wanjiru, as it improved.
Madam Towera, can you hear us? Oh. So it looks like we need to just be patient for another couple of minutes as she rejoins. Sabdio, back to you.
Yes. So maybe I can take the chance to just appraise our participants on the program that we are implementing as AGRA. And I know Dr. Wanjiru is leading the initiative around women in science. I am sure she can take the chance also to share 1 or 2 lines on that. But as I said earlier, if you missed my intro, this is the talk corner of the Value for Her segment. The idea is to give women a platform to share their entrepreneurship journey, how they started, how they fared, what are the issues that they experienced, how they overcame those issues to reach where they are. Of course, this sharing of the story is supposed to be an inspiration also for the other women who are aspiring to come into agribusiness. So that is why we run this segment. I'm sure you've seen us in the media in quite a bit lately. We've been rolling out this program to very many other countries on the continent. This is a continental initiative. We have created a platform that connects all these different companies. So this is the platform is called Value for Her Connect. We are going to post the link for registration on the chat. Feel free to join because We are building a community of women entrepreneurs across the continent. And through that community, you will be able to find the assistance that you also need. So let me hand back to Dr. Wanjiru to tell us one or two things about the Women in Science program that she leads. I know she's going for bigger things, but maybe very quickly as we get Towera connected back. Over to you, Dr. Wanjiru.
Thank you, Sabdi. I see Towera is back. Can you hear us, Towera? And maybe unmute. Right now you're muted. There you go.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Fantastic. I wonder if was your presentation interrupted, or had you concluded and we can go into the questions section?
Okay, so it was a bit interrupted because I was about now to talk about my juice business. So probably just to give a background of the juice business, when I started and how I have moved to where I am at the moment. So just a background is that the baobab juice production starts from the collection of the baobab fruit itself. So I've engaged a number of collectors from different districts in Malawi. So at the moment, I'm getting the baobab fruit from 4 districts in Malawi. And I have a total number of about 368 collectors, and I've just signed another contract with about 220 additional collectors to supply us with the baobab. So when it's collected from the collectors, I buy it from them as pulp and take it into the juice industry, where I separate now the powder from the fruit itself. Once the powder is separated, the powder is the one that I use to make the juices, but then the seeds have got very rich oil in them. So I extract the oil from the seed, and this oil is cosmetic oil that you can use for your skin as well as for your hair. When you have extracted the oil, what remains is the cake. The cake is now used as organic manure, or you can also use it to feed the livestock like chickens, dairy cows, and even the goats. So at the moment, I'm working with the research industry in Malawi to develop a formula for livestock feed. So that's about my business. In terms of outreach, we are selling the juices throughout Malawi, through the retail outlets, key ones and small ones. We are also selling to individuals directly, but we are also selling to schools as well as institutions such as hospitals. Because of the nutritional content available in the baobab, we would want to promote it as a healthy product that everyone else in Malawi can be able to use. And because of the high content of vitamin C in it, and in these times when we have a corona pandemic, that one is also a nutrient that is required to boost the immune system in as far as human beings are concerned. So I'll stop there for now, and we'll continue once we have asked me some questions.
Thank you so much, Towera. And so I think you kind of answered this a little bit, but it'd be really good to hear what motivated you to venture into the business, into agribusiness. From you said that you're a teacher by background. Mm-hmm. What motivated you to get into this?
Okay, I think as somebody who is an entrepreneur, I've grown up in the family where my parents, my sisters, were running different businesses, but I've also done a lot of businesses. You talk about making fritters, you talk about cross-border trade, you talk about selling second-hand clothes, you talk about anything. I've really done it. I've really gone to the extent where at some point I was really talking to myself and I was saying, well, girl, you have really done a lot, because there was a time when I was doing cross-border trade, and I learned that for you to really do that trade properly, you have to forget who you are. There was a time when I really traveled in the boot of a car from Zambia to Malawi, just to make sure that my products have crossed the border and I'm able to sell it. So I've done all these small businesses, but then I decided to venture into agribusiness because of the element of food. Before you look at agriculture as a business, it is agriculture that really brings food on the table. And because I've got the background in food and nutrition, I've always looked at food as something that you can do creatively, either to generate the income or to feed the rest of your community. So I've followed that path, and that's why I decided to enter into agribusiness, because the baobab fruit itself is food on its own, but everybody else looks for food. Everybody else wants food. So the market is there. The market is there for any food that you can bring on the market, so long it meets the needs of people that you are targeting. So that's the reason why I decided to go into agribusiness after trying everything else.
Fantastic. Someone, Miriam Kadamira, is telling us that apart from this business, you've also been training youth in agribusiness development. And can we hear more about the work you're doing in training young people to enter into agribusiness, especially through a church in Lilongwe?
Okay, I think for me, any business, regardless whether it's agriculture or it's tourism or it's trading, one of the key things that every individual must be able to have is the entrepreneurship competencies. And when you look at the entrepreneurship competencies, these are the competencies that deal with you as an individual. So my role has been to engage with the youth, to enable them to become successful entrepreneurs without failing. So that my role has been to provide the training that can unlock the potential of every individual. Everyone that would want to start and grow a business, even those that do not have any business idea. So I've engaged with them in a number of areas. Malawi being an agriculture-based country, most of the youth are engaged in the agribusiness. And because they're engaged in the agribusiness, my role is to enable them to start their businesses and grow. And I look at the key competencies that they need to develop. And one of the key competencies that they need to develop as entrepreneurs, it's really being visionary and believing in what they want to achieve. Being able to see their business in tangible ways. Because if they can't see, they cannot get what they want. But I've also supported them in imparting to them the other competencies, which includes commitment. As an entrepreneur, you really need to be committed to what you are doing. You have to commit yourself, you have to commit your resources, you have to commit your time, you have to commit everything to enable you to get what you are seeing as a business. In addition to that, we are also enabling the youth to be persistent, because businesses are a challenging journey that you have to walk through. And if you're not persistent enough, that's why you see that other people give up what they had started along the way. But for the young entrepreneurs, my role is to encourage them to look for other alternatives that can really support them to achieve what they are seeing as entrepreneurs when they go into the entrepreneurial arena.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Now, for many women, the availability of working capital is a key challenge. How are you able to secure capital for your businesses?
Okay, to start with, I think over time, I've learned that the capital, yes, it's a key thing in the business, but it should not be the thing that should stop you from engaging into any business. I started my business with the resources that I had. So I collected the fruits from the farm. I took 2 big pots from my kitchen. I took the charcoal burner from my kitchen. I took I used my garage and converted it to become my processing unit. I engaged the women that I already knew from the church to start the business. So if you have got a business opportunity, the first place to start with is what you have at that particular time. Because once you start, that's when you now begin to learn and master the business. Once you have mastered the business, you reach at a certain level where you say, I cannot move on without any external support. At that time, you begin to look for the external support. It's not very easy to get the external support financially, especially from the commercial bank, and if you are also a woman. But I think because I started my business and developed it, it was very easy for me to go to the bank and convince them that if you invest into my business, these are the returns and I should be able to pay back the loan. The banks normally would not give you the total amount of money that you're looking at. So in as much as I was looking for a lot more money to invest into my business to make it grow to a level where I wanted to be, the bank was able to only provide me with limited finances. Because they provided me with limited finances, I couldn't grow at the pace that I needed to grow to be where I am. Where I am today, I would have been here maybe 5 or 6 years ago. But because it's really been very difficult to access finance, you work with what you have. But if you have even the little that you have, invest it and move on so that you get to another level. Because if you don't, if you look at it and say this is not enough and you don't invest, you don't move.
Do you have a sense that, thank you so much, that it's so encouraging. Thank you for those words of encouragement. Do you have a sense that that challenge and you know how long it has taken is gender related or not?
It's both. It's gender related, but it's also because of other factors and elements surrounding the business itself. It's gender related because I think you have to prove yourself as a woman that yes, I can do this. And that it's not only at the macro level, but it starts even with the family and the community that is surrounding you. They would really want you to prove to them that yes, I have the capacity. If you don't prove, and if you also listen to them every time they come up with discouraging comments and everything else, if you listen to them, you cannot move on. But if you believe in your capacity and in your capabilities and in your vision and you move on, you come to a level where they start believing in you and they start moving with you. But that took a long time for me to be able to demonstrate that and to get people on my side, including immediate family as well as immediate community, before you even went to the now macro level where people can engage with you, invest with you. So the gender aspect has played a role in delaying my progress to get to where I am today.
Let me shift to questions, and I keep going back and forth with some of my own questions, but also questions from the audience. Someone is saying, this is a wonderful and sorely, this is Dan Durrett, wonderful and sorely needed talk. What are some of the challenges faced by women in agriculture as a result of climate change?
I think as women, we really, we are getting the hit as far as climate change is concerned. Because when you look at I will take Malawi, for example. The climate change has brought in a lot of challenges, including the impact on the yields of the products, including the impact on the technologies that can help you move forward, including the impact on building your own resilience as well as the resilience of others, so that they can be able to bounce back where they have the challenges. So as a businesswoman, I think also because I work in the development sector, I am able to identify such challenges. And when given an opportunity where I can interact with people, I'm able to make them aware of really what is happening now and the greater impact if they don't change the way they are doing their things now. So when you look at Malawi at the moment, the issue of deforestation, it's really bringing in a lot of challenges. And my role is to engage and talk to the women that I engage with to say we need to change certain behaviors. If we don't change certain behaviors, the impact that we are getting now will be worse in the next 5 to 10 years to come. And if we don't change, that impact can really eradicate any livelihood resources that we have. So the most important thing is to make people become aware of what's happening and the impact now and the impact in the future. And also allow them to prepare that if that happens in the future, how can they really address the challenges that they need?
Alongside that, as you're talking about engaging with women, especially in tilling, who are direct farm producers, there's a question here about the importance of knowledge and food sovereignty. And I know this is maybe a step away from your agribusiness, but what conversations are you having with those women? The ones who are picking the baobab, the ones who are
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
Towera, go on. I think there is a challenge with Dr. Wanjiru, but go on on the question.
Okay, I didn't get the last part of the question.
Yeah, the question is what sort of conversations you're having with the women who are part of your supply networks, the ones who are collecting the baobab seeds.
Okay, I think with the women that are collecting, yes, the baobab collectors at the moment, we are talking to them to see how the climate change is impacting on the population of baobab trees in Malawi. When we started the business, we had a lot of baobab trees in Malawi, but at the moment, because a lot of people have seen that they can make money out of the baobab, a number of people have engaged into this industry. But when it comes to the collection of the fruit itself, they are not managing the trees properly. So you'd find that we are losing some of the trees, but also some of the trees are being damaged. They are not properly looked after, and they are not giving the yields that are expected to be collected from the trees. So our conversation with the women, we are able to tell them that it's very difficult to plant a baobab tree. If we cannot manage the trees that we have at the moment, there shall come a time when Malawi will lose all the baobab trees that are available. And this is the industry that we are developing. And we are urging them to make sure that they are managing the forest where the trees are properly. But at the same time, we are also encouraging them to plant other fruit trees so that should we come to a point where the baobab population is no longer enough to guarantee any investments in that particular business, but we can still engage with them with the other fruits. And at the moment, we are looking at the mango tree that they should be planting. And once these grow, we can also buy back from them and start producing the mango juice, because at the moment we have mastered the art of juice production, and we should be able to produce any other fruit. We are also encouraging them to look at other opportunities that they can do alongside the baobab collection, the mango tree planting. What are the other opportunities that are there, so that at least they can build their resilience in as far as income generation is concerned.
Thank you so much. There's I think this could be a simple, quick one. What do you use to separate the baobab powder from the baobab seeds? And maybe if it's a proprietary, then you don't need to declare your intellectual property.
No, it's just the machinery that you can have either custom made from the holders, or you can get it on the open market. So the machinery will separate the powder from the seeds. So it uses the hammer mill mechanism.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your generosity also in sharing that knowledge. There's a question here saying, knowing how difficult it is for women to get loans from the bank, have you ever advocated for women at the bank for financial considerations in business? And maybe beyond asking you whether you personally have, I know that you're a member and even a chair, a board member and even a chair of some of these organizations that are working in support of women. I know you're board chair of the National Association of Business Women of Malawi. Maybe you could talk to us about that more broadly.
Yeah, I think in terms of advocating for women to access loans from the bank, I've done that widely because I've engaged with the other banks to make them aware that the needs of women are very different from the needs of men in as far as banking is concerned, even as far as product offering of the bank is concerned. So I've worked with the bank's staff to make them understand how they can serve and support women. But I've also worked with the women themselves, speaking on their behalf, because there's myself as Towera. I can go into the bank and I can defend my business plan or anything, but there's another woman out there in the rural area who is not able to come and defend their business plan. They don't even have a business plan. I've tried to lobby the banks to come with different products that can really serve the women. With the bank that I had worked with, we managed to come up with a product that was now serving women that were in groups. We call them savings and loan groups. But I've also worked with the street vendors, trying to encourage them to become bankable and also to be able to understand the importance of using the banks, but also encouraging them to go to the bank and talk about their business position and what they need in as far as their finances are concerned. Yes, the banks have got very prohibitive requirements in as far as access to finance is concerned, but over time, we have seen that the banks have also started responding. But having said that, the Women Investment Cooperative that we have established in Malawi is a result of really having difficulties in as far as access to finance is concerned. So we are saying collectively as women, we can generate, we can contribute our own resources in terms of money, and we can start borrowing this money to one another for the purposes of expanding or starting our businesses. But our main vision is to be able to establish a women's bank, because we believe that as women, we know our needs and we know how we can address our needs in as far as access to finance is concerned. So it's not just getting the money, it's really looking beyond getting the money. When the woman gets the money, how can she use that money to make sure that she is able to create wealth for herself as well as for others collectively? So at the moment, we are over 500 women. We are planning to to expand by the end of this year, probably to reach out to about 10,000 women. And then with that, we should be able, maybe in the next 3, 4, 5 months, establish a microfinance institution, while now we are mastering the art of running a commercial bank. So we want to move into stages. We started as a group, then we established a circle. We are moving towards now establishing a microfinance. After that, we are going to establish a bank. The market for the financial institution is just huge. And when you look at Malawi, over 50% of the population are women. So I'm always telling myself that the market is there. We just need to captivate that market, open our bank, and offer ourselves the services and the products that will make sure that we are able to move to another level.
Fantastic. I love that you're not just doing progress at individual level, you're really doing progress at that national level. And for women at that national level, this is so inspiring, so inspiring. We have about 15 minutes left to go. To our participants, please keep those questions coming. I'm actually prioritizing the questions that are coming from the floor, from the participants, to make sure that you are hearing from Ms. Towera the answers to the questions that you have. We have a question here from Miriam Sauti, who is asking, do you enter into some form of contractual agreement with the Baobab sellers to ensure that they're not enticed to sell to someone who may offer a higher price than the one you offer? How do you handle that?
Yes, we do get into contractual agreements with them, and we are actually using what we are calling the incentive-based contract scheme, where you agree with the collectors on the quantities that you want them to give you. And if they give you those quantities, they now get an incentive. But before that, before we even come to a point where we sign the agreement, we prepare them for the contracts. We train them. We want them to understand that if they are not able to give me the quantities that I'm asking them to give me, it means that the whole value chain will be affected. And that also affect them as well, because they have to look at that as a business. Because if I don't come back to them to get the baobab from them, then they will lose the market. But at the same time, we are also looking at the other incentives that are not monetary. We are looking at the funeral insurance. If you are a member this year, you give me the quantities that I want. Next year, you can be covered, yourself and probably your spouse, with the insurance cover that we are offering. So they always look forward to achieve the agreements this year, so that next year they are on the incentive. 1 or 2 people will always be different from the rest of the groups, and they will go their way and sell the baobab to others, not necessarily to us. But we have trained the collectors in a way that they are able to deal with such people on the ground before it comes to us. So in as far as our agreements are concerned, if I tell them that I need 50 metric tons, they'll give me 50 metric tons. If they have got any problems, they will sort out the problems. If they cannot sort out the problems themselves, then we come in to support, because we want them to own that process, because it's their business. They have to look at it. They also are able to see how it can grow. So before we engage, we want them to see where they see themselves in the next 5 years if they start engaging with us in this year. And because of that, we have seen that they are able to maintain their groups. They are also able to show the business growth, and they are excited to see what they can achieve maybe 3, 4, 5 years down the line. So we work with them based on their vision.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Now I'm going to ask a bit of maybe a more personal question. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Thank you. I think my younger self, they are very lucky today, because I think there are a lot of resources that can help them move in the direction where they want. My biggest advice to them is to be able to make decisions that they know that if I do this, this is taking me into the direction where I want to go. Once they have made that decision, they should invest a lot in making sure that they achieve what they want to achieve. The investment in terms of looking for information, engaging with other people that they have done what they want to do before, talking to people and understanding how they were able to resolve certain challenges that they made along the way. But it is also important for them to have role models, people that you look up to and you are always wishing that if I could really become like her, or if I could achieve what she has achieved. And most of the time, I always advise them when I'm talking to the youth, I tell them that do greater or better than what I have done, because I know that they have got the potential to do that.
So I heard you talk to young people of today. So, but I'm still going to come back and say, Towera when she was 15. If you could just go back and that girl, Towera Jalakasi, when she was 15, what would you tell that 15-year-old about her life? What advice would you give her?
I think it's important to be inspired by something else. When I was growing up, because I grew up with a number of sisters, I always looked up to them and said, what is it that they are doing that I would want to do as I am growing? So I always followed their footpaths, but I also was looking at the things that can help me also grow as a person. So as a 15-year-old, I think at that time I had realized already that I've got a passion using my hands. So I invested a lot of time looking at things that I can do with my own hands, reading the books that showed me how I can do certain things, but also interacting with friends that we were like-minded in terms of our activities. So you would find girls that were doing things that I could not relate to. I did not really bow down to peer pressure at that time. There were so many things that could have distracted me from the path that I was going, but I decided not to, because I had made a decision within myself that I want to grow up and be able to become independent and be able to do things on my own. So I've followed that path from a 15-year Towera Jalakasi up until now. So that also helped me in making certain decisions. Because if you don't have a purpose, if you don't have a vision as to how you want to move forward, it's very easy to be distracted by any other thing, and you lose your path and you start following a different path. So I would want to encourage them to make such decision and follow that path. They will meet the challenges. The challenges will always be there. But if they are really positioned very well, those challenges, they should be used for them to build up themselves so that they can really get to where they want to get when they grow up.
Purpose and vision is really the key of what I'm hearing you say. I'm going to take one last question from the audience. And here, Antoinette Sala wants to know, as you project the future, do you have any plans for Baobab nurseries so that you have well-managed plantations?
We are actually working with the universities in Malawi that are looking at the vegetative aspect of the baobab. Once they have done the research and the results are pointing towards that we can plant and grow a baobab fruit, that's the direction that we would want to take so that we sustain the supply of the baobab in Malawi.
Fantastic. And I'm going to now come back to you with about 5 minutes left. I'm going to come to you to ask for some closing remarks, some closing words. And But before you give your closing, your parting shot, what advice would you have for a woman anywhere on the continent, those who are listening, those who will listen to this recording later, who maybe they're thinking about possibly starting an agribusiness, but they're not sure, or they have just started and they're feeling overwhelmed and they're meeting some of those challenges? What advice would you have for them?
So I think for women out there that would want to engage into the agribusiness, if they don't have an idea as to what they would want to engage into, I think the first point, the entry point, is really to look at, do you have the opportunities that can really help you explore the things that you'd want to do? So when it comes to looking out for opportunities, it's really looking at what are the problems that are in that area, what are the needs that the people are having in that area, and those that already have an idea, they should start. Because the most thing that really delays people into engaging into anything is the fear of starting. But you just need to start from wherever you are. Start. Once you start, then you will see that because you have started, certain fears that you had, certain questions that were not answered are being answered. But for you to be able to succeed in whatever you're starting, it's important that you seek for information in terms of facts and figures. Because if you start your business on hearsay, because somebody just said, chicken business is really giving a lot of profit, or somebody just said, the tomatoes are giving a lot of profit, or because you've seen somebody who is doing tomato business and they're making profits out of it, and you just decide, okay, I'll go into this business, you may not go far. You need to do your research, seek the information that you need that will guarantee that when you start the business, you will not fail. So talk to people, talk to those that are doing the businesses that you want to engage into. And you can start from anywhere. I think one thing that I really want to say is that when you are talking about starting a business, it's not really creating a new thing altogether, but it's really improving on what is already happening on the market. And you can just improve maybe the delivery of something. You can just improve maybe the speed of doing something. You can just maybe change the shape. You can just even change the price of things that are already existing on the market, because that's what we call innovation. So you don't have to look for new ideas. Look at the things that are already happening and then identify that this is the area where I can improve, and use that improvement as a business idea and move on. So please start. Most important thing, start. When you start, the rest will come into place. We are thinking of establishing a bank, but we started by a group, then a circle. We are going into a microfinance. Then we'll go into a bank. But the most important thing, we started. If we were just talking and not starting, we'd still be talking up until now. But we started.
I think that concept, that word start, is the best place to end this conversation. With 2 minutes to spare, I just want to thank you so much, Towera, for inspiration, wisdom, knowledge, and really opening up yourself and your experience and expertise to all of us. I am not in the agribusiness space, but I have learned so much from listening to you, and I'm so inspired. And really, I believe all of us wish you the very best, especially with your own business, but also with the bank and that powerful vision you have sold to us, because I think it's really the potential for impact, not just for Malawi, but really for the continent, is tremendous. And with those words, I want to hand the meeting back over to Subdio Dido, the head of gender and inclusiveness at AGRA. Subdio, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wanjiru. It's really been a very, very interesting interview. Thank you so much, Towera. it's a fascinating story and journey that you have walked. It is business with a purpose. I really, really, really had fun listening to you, but also the inspiration that you've shared with the women entrepreneurs, but also even upcoming entrepreneurs. Thank you so much. And I can see also from the chats that the participants have really enjoyed this session. And we will continue to refine this session and hopefully have better and better and better, engagement with the women entrepreneurs. Thank you so much, both of you. And of course, the clip will be available. Our team will share it. And we will continue to have this periodically. So thanks so much to both of you. This has been very, very inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much and have a fantastic afternoon.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank